In the shadowy annals of cult history, few practices shock as profoundly as flirty fishing. In the shadowy annals of cult history, few practices shock as profoundly as flirty fishing. It was a method, sanctioned by a spiritual leader, that transformed intimate human connection into a predatory tool. A tool wielded in the name of God, promising salvation while delivering something far more sinister. The Children of God, later known as the Family International, began in the late 1960s, riding the countercultural wave. Founded by David Berg, or Moses David, it initially drew in young, disillusioned idealists seeking utopia. But how did this quest for communal harmony morph into a system built on sexual exploitation? Berg, a former Christian minister, rapidly developed a unique theology, a blend of apocalyptic prophecy and a radical interpretation of love. He declared the outside world corrupt. Babylon and his followers, God's children, were destined to lead a spiritual revolution. This revolution, however, required total devotion and a willingness to break all conventional norms. As the movement grew, so did its needs. Funds were tight, recruitment slowed, and the group faced increasing ostracism. It was in this crucible of necessity and isolation that Berg introduced his most infamous doctrine, outlined in a series of controversial letters. The practice he called flirty fishing. Berg argued traditional missionary work was too slow to reach lost souls and secure resources. He mandated his female followers, the fishers, use their God-given femininity, even sexuality, to attract potential converts and donors. This was framed as a divine command, a law of love that transcended worldly morality, a sacred seduction, indeed. So young women, often teenagers, were dispatched to bars, clubs, even streets, instructed to engage men, build rapport, and then subtly introduce the teachings of the children of God. This wasn't just about conversation. It often involved sexual favors, justified as sharing love and demonstrating a radical freedom from conventional sin. They were taught that the ends justified any means. The ethical implications were, and remain, staggering. This was systematic exploitation, not spiritual liberation. It preyed on the vulnerability of the fishers, often young women, coerced by spiritual authority into practices that violated their personal boundaries and often led to profound psychological trauma. Their bodies became currency. Many women who participated in flirty fishing later recounted feeling dehumanized, used, and abused. They were taught to suppress their own feelings, to see their sexuality not as their own, but as a tool for the movement. The line between missionary work and prostitution blurred entirely, leaving deep, lasting scars. And what of the children born into this environment? Many were conceived through flirty fishing encounters, raised in a system where parental figures were fluid and the concept of sexual boundaries was, at best, confusing, at worst, non-existent. The long-term psychological impact on these children of God is immense. A heartbreaking legacy. As the 1980s progressed, public scrutiny intensified. Governments launched investigations, and former members began speaking out, revealing the darker truths behind the children of God's practices. The cult, facing increasing pressure, began to distance itself from some of Berg's more extreme doctrines, eventually rebranding as the Family International. While flirty fishing was officially phased out in the late 1980s, its echoes reverberate still. Survivors, now adults, continue to grapple with the trauma, battling for recognition and justice. The Children of God, under its new name, maintains it has reformed, but the shadow of its past and the lives it irrevocably altered persists. The story of flirty fishing serves as a chilling reminder how easily spiritual idealism can be twisted into exploitation. It stands as a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked charismatic authority and the devastating cost when human dignity is sacrificed at the altar of a supposed higher calling. What other cults twisted divine purpose into human exploitation? Explore our next video on the Branch Davidians.